President Trump with a major warning to Iran as we approach 2 weeks of deadly protests.
So Iran's in big trouble, and that doesn't mean boots on the ground, but it means hitting them very, very hard where it hurts. I just hope the protesters in Iran are going to be safe, because that's a very dangerous place right now. And again, I tell the Iranian leaders, you better not start shooting, because we'll start shooting too.
Welcome back. What you're about to hear is President Trump issuing a direct military threat to Iran on behalf of protesters. And I need to talk about why this moment should make every Christian pause and ask some hard questions. We're looking at Trump's statement. You better not start shooting, because we will start shooting too. And before you react based on whether you support Trump or not, I want you to think about what we're actually endorsing here as Christians. This is about principles. Biblical principles about violence, justice, and whether the ends justify the means. Stay with me. This one's going to challenge some assumptions. Drop your location in the comments, and let's get into it.
President Trump with a major warning to Iran as we approach 2 weeks of deadly protests.
So Iran's in big trouble, and that doesn't mean boots on the ground, but it means hitting them very, very hard where it hurts. I just hope the protesters in Iran are going to be safe, because that's a very dangerous place right now. And again, I tell the Iranian leaders, you better not start shooting, because we'll start shooting too.
It comes as Iran's supreme leader threatens a greater crackdown, saying, quote, the Islamic Republic will not back down in the face of vandals. Trump should know that world tyrants were brought down at the peak of their arrogance. He, too, will be.
Let's be clear about what just happened. The President of the United States just threatened military action against another sovereign nation, and there's been no congressional debate, no declaration of war, no constitutional process, just a direct threat. We will start shooting. Now, I know the response, but the Iranian regime is evil. They're killing protesters. Someone needs to stand up for them. I agree the regime is brutal. I agree the protesters deserve support. But here's the question Christians have to answer. Does supporting justice require threatening military violence without constitutional authority? Where is Congress in this decision? Article 1, Section 8 gives them war powers, not the president. If this isn't an act of war, what is? And if we're okay bypassing that process because we like the outcome, we've abandoned the constitutional principles we claim to care about. But there's a bigger problem. Does this threat actually help Iranian protesters or hurt them? History teaches us that American military threats often delegitimize local democratic movements. The Iranian regime can now paint these protesters as American agents, as proxies for foreign intervention. We may have just handed the Ayatollah his best propaganda tool. When we threaten, we will start shooting. Are we helping Iranians achieve freedom, or are we satisfying our own desire to do something, regardless of the consequences?
Fox News contributor and former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo joins us now. Mr. Secretary, thank you for joining us. Talk to me about the significance of what we're seeing unfolding from Tehran to Mashhad, all across 100-plus cities in Iran, the protesters standing up, even raising the sun and lion flag.
Griff, it's great to be with you this morning. Your point is very well taken. The breadth of this set of protests, the depth of this set of protests, and the scope of the different people, right? Business people, students, seniors, people who had been former government service, all out in the streets protesting, people from different ethnicities, folks from Baluchistan and from Esfahan and Kurds, right? People all across the country just can't take it anymore. They've been deprived of their basic economic ability to live a decent life and raise their families. We've seen these protests before. In 2009, we saw something that approached where we are today. President Obama literally refused to do anything, even speak out in support of the Iranian people. And President Trump has taken a fundamentally different view and a different position. I think that also encourages the people of Iran to get the government that they want, and I'm hopeful they'll continue this effort. We know this, Griff, the Ayatollah is not going to go away peacefully. He's not going to go away quietly. Hamas, Hezbollah, these are resistance movements, theocracies. They'll stay at this. That means the Iranian people are going to have to stay at this as well.
But, Mr. Secretary, will this time be different? And do you think that Ayatollah Khamenei doesn't fully realize how much trouble he's in?
Griff, it's always unknowable if it will end completely differently, but this is different. You already see Iranian regular army personnel refusing to shoot at their own citizens. It's called the Artesh. So you have the IRGC, the Basij, different suppression forces that the Ayatollah has used. He'll keep trying. I understand he brought some folks in from Iraq, some militias that have been working with the Iranians there. He's not going to give up. I don't know that he recognizes this is different, but the people do. The people can see that what's taking place here today is fundamentally different than what's taken place before. And I hope that they can stay at this. And I hope in the end, the forces of repression will decide it is not worth the candle to kill our own people. Let's get a different government. Let's go rebuild Iran, and it can join the League of Nations. Just be a common sense country, Griff. That's all we've ever asked.
Here's where this gets spiritually serious for Christians. We're endorsing violence, military violence, as the solution to injustice. But is that the model Christ gave us? Jesus stood before Pilate, facing the ultimate injustice, execution for crimes he didn't commit. He had the power to call down legions of angels. He could have started shooting, but he didn't. He submitted to unjust power, trusted the Father's plan, and conquered through sacrifice, not force. Now, I'm not saying Christians are pacifists. Just war theory exists for a reason, and there are times when defensive force is necessary. But threatening offensive military action to support a protest movement? That's not defensive. That's not just war. That's using American military might to shape another nation's internal politics. And here's what Christians need to wrestle with. If we celebrate this threat because we support the protesters' cause, what principle are we actually endorsing? That violence is acceptable when deployed for outcomes we like? That's situational ethics, not biblical principle. The Iranian people are fighting for freedom and dignity, values rooted in the Imago Dei. Every Iranian protester bears God's image, but so does every Iranian soldier who might be ordered to shoot them, and so does every American service member who might be sent to start shooting based on a presidential threat made without congressional authorization. Our ultimate hope isn't in American military power bringing justice to Iran. Christ is king over Iran just as he's king over America. Regime change happens on God's timeline, not ours. And it rarely comes through foreign military intervention. It comes through the courage of people like these Iranian protesters risking everything for freedom. Can we support them? Absolutely. Can we pray for them? Yes. Can we provide diplomatic and humanitarian support? Of course, but can we threaten military violence as if American might is the solution to every global injustice? That's not the gospel. That's empire.
And lastly, before we run out of time, Mr. Secretary, you connect these dots some 8,000 miles apart, because you write that we may be approaching a geopolitical hinge point when you look at what's happening not only in Iran, but also in Venezuela. Explain.
Yes, I wrote about this. Undoubtedly, these are connected. The Venezuelans and the Iranians have had a long relationship. They've part of the narco-terrorist network. They've traded crude oil and money, gold back and forth between these two countries. Maduro, the Ayatollah are in league together, along with the Chinese and the Russians. And so what's happened in Venezuela is deeply connected here. And in the same way that President Trump made clear he was going to give the Venezuelan people a chance to build a democracy, build a better nation, he's now made clear that if the killing continues, he's going to do something in Iran. And Griff, if there's one thing we've learned in what is now almost the first year of the Trump administration, is that when he says something like this, he is planning. There is work being done in the background to deliver against that commitment.
It is remarkable, Mr. Secretary. We are only 10 days into the new year and such unbelievably consequential events may be unfolding. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, thank you for taking time.
So here's my question. Can Christians support justice for Iranian protesters without endorsing military threats that bypass our own constitution and potentially harm the very people we're trying to help? I genuinely want to hear your thoughts, especially if you disagree. If this challenged you, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to think through this. Subscribe for more biblical perspectives on politics that don't fit neatly into partisan boxes. Drop a comment. Where are you watching from? And how do you think Christians should respond to situations like Iran? Thanks for watching. Christ is king over every nation. God bless.